Alright guys, so good news, bad news kind of situation here. So the plan was to put a handbrake in the Corvette so it's ready for grid life, because good news, we're going to grid life. Which is super exciting. I have been going to Road Atlanta for 6 years now for Formula Drift. I've watched countless people drive on that track and I've always wanted to do it myself. And I'm so excited that I'm going to get a chance to finally drive on that track myself. Big thing at Road Atlanta is the entry down the hill, like 100 plus mile per hour. Handbrake initiation because it's pretty narrow. So the whole goal was to get a handbrake in the Corvette before we went, because we want to do some cool handbrake initiations, right? Well, that didn't quite work out. So let me revert back and explain to you kind of like what a show this week has been. So first off, this is what the handbrake looks like. We did manage to get the handle made. It mounts to the seat bracket down there. Got some lines going into it. They run up to there, as you can see. Got this sweet 3D printed handle that my coworker did for me. I made one that was really basic and simple, but it was a little bit too small on the inside diameter. He made this one. It's not all the way down, but I'm not going to slide it all the way down because we're not going to be using this, which I'll explain in a minute. But he was able to print it out of wood PLA, which looks sick. It matches my like skateboard recycled shift knob. I'm going to put some enamel on it and like stain it, make it look real cool, but it's got my initials and this little stuff in it. In a really good spot, like perfect spot. Steering wheel, handbrake, shifter, dialed. Didn't have to cut any of this stuff up, which was really important to me to keep this like Metro Dash kit that I got from Sonic Electronics in shape and keep the car street car, you know what I mean? Bad news, we are going to be taking that handbrake out here in a second. Why? So my buddy Paul, who made the angle mount adapters for me, he came up, drove all the way up here from Lakeland, brought his welder, and we were ready to finish the dual caliper brackets that he had been working on and make the handbrake. About halfway through the dual caliper brackets, we realized that they weren't going to fit. The OEM calipers are just a little too big. So when Paul was designing these, all he basically had was the spindles. So the problem is there's some interference back here where there's basically nowhere to fit the stock size caliper. It's just not going to go in there anywhere. It like bottoms out against between the upright and the toe arm pickup. So we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board on that, use like a small Willwood or something like that. So like, all right, that's not gonna happen this weekend, let's start on the handbrake. So we start on the handbrake. So there's no way to do it, so we're gonna abandon dual caliper, go to inline, and just move forward with making this bracket out of metal. And we end up running through so many different ways we're gonna do it. Like I had 3D printed a couple of designs and had this whole plan. Instead of making it from scratch, like why don't we just take this bracket that I already had and... Okay, so plan like 7 for the day. We're now cutting out this ISR hydro I had. This is what I was using on the drift sim, hence why it has this clutch safety switch on it. We're gonna cut that up and basically modify it to be exactly what we need it to be, and just cut this handle off and extend it. So we did that, and we got it in, and then it was like, okay, all I need to do now is run the lines, and we're gonna just run it inline. I hate inline hydros. Quick lesson: dual caliper, you have your own brake system for one set of calipers on the rear, and then your normal brake system functions completely independently. Inline, you basically tap in the rear brake line between the master and the rear brakes, so it goes through the hydro back to the line and then to the rear brakes, so you can lock them up at will. Problem with that is you can't e-brake and foot brake, and I probably use foot brake to do different stuff in drifting more so than I use handbrake, so I'm really opposed to inlines, but I was like, man, I want to get this done. I want to throw some rad entries at Road Atlanta, like let's freaking do it. So we're gonna run inline. I happen to have these lines, and these lines are the car that I bought forever ago, and I just saved them, and this is exactly what I needed. I needed a line with a 90 on it. The lines were like perfect. They were at 90-degree angles and everything the way I need them to be. They're just a little too short. They run right up to the firewall, but not through the firewall. As I suspected, the lines were too short, but drilled a hole through the firewall. It's in a decent enough spot for us to get to it. So I'm gonna have to get lines that go from those to the fittings on the master and the line into the master. Cross our fingers that it works. So I basically spent all freaking day today driving around to like every parts store, hardware store I could possibly think of to try to find. I needed an M12 by 1.0 fitting that would screw into the master cylinder that went down to an M10 by 1.0, and then it would be a line to a union to the steel braided line, and then basically the opposite of that, as it's coming out. For the other line, it would be a female M12 by 1.0 to M10 by 1.0 to line to union. The only way to do it would be to have like 2 unions per line, and maybe I don't have to make my own lines, and it is like 6 o'clock, 5:30 on Wednesday. We need to leave tomorrow morning, so there's just not enough time to do it. So we are abandoning the handbrake. I'm just gonna have to man up. I'm gonna have to drive without a handbrake. I'm just gonna have to do it. And I think it'll be fine. The whole point of grid life is not about the driving or anything like that. It's really about the atmosphere, the hangout, the party, the music festival. All of those things combined are what make grid life grid life. So I would have fun going and not driving. So being able to drive at all will be a blast. I'm not going to be able to throw ride entries and do all that, but I think I'll be able to have fun and still be able to hopefully link the track. So it's going to be a blast regardless. Sucks that I spent the last 3 days trying to make a video working on this handbrake, but we will revisit this another time. Huge shout out to Paul for coming up here though and making the handbrake assembly happen and all of that. Like I said, he did my angle mods. He's doing a CNC run of them, the thing we tested in the 3D print video. So if you guys want to purchase them, he's doing a pre-order now. They're cheaper pre-order, right? Yeah, well, on pre-order they're going to be $400, and then when they're actually the full runs made, they're going to be $450 for the full set. So save money. Come with the tie rods, the bolts, and the full CNC adapter itself. So it's basically a full angle kit. Yeah. For a Corvette. If you go to Delinquent Industries on Facebook, there's an ad up for it right now. We only really need 3 more pre-orders to do the entire run and have them available for everybody. So 3 more. Come on. 3 people. So if you guys are interested in that, it also is great for like track cars. If you want a quicker steering ratio, if you've ever driven a C5 Corvette, you know it's terrible. It feels like you're driving a truck. Like half a turn does virtually nothing. So it'll quicken up the steering ratio too, even if you're not looking for angle for drifting. Link to that will be below. So what we have left to do tonight is just raise the car up, mostly to get it on the trailer. Also, in case we go off at Road Atlanta, we're not going to go crazy, but we do need to raise it up a little bit, specifically to get it on the trailer, because we're going to borrow Marco's trailer, and I don't think it's going on at the right height it's at. Need to readjust the seat, because I leaned it back to fit the handbrake, take the handbrake out, all that, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We'll get to that in a minute. Next thing. So this is something I'm admittedly a little embarrassed about. This is something I don't think a lot of people would tell their YouTube audience because it's embarrassing, and there'll probably be a lot of you that are like, you're an idiot, I can't believe you did that, that's so stupid. But there'll also probably be a lot of you who had a really bad day or did something really silly and you're mad at yourself for doing something dumb. Maybe this will brighten you up. Maybe this will cheer you up and make you think, what I did today wasn't as bad as what Taylor did today or 2 days ago. So here's the deal, it is starting to rain. Here is the deal, I was working on the truck, it is really starting to rain. We're gonna go in the truck because it's starting to, it's coming down. Can you hear that? All right, in the truck we go. It's coming down now. First off, remember the overdrive issue I was having when we went down to Lakeland? It wasn't going into overdrive. Well, a lot of people said TPS. From what I read, it was the TPS issue, but the previous owner deleted the TPS, as do a lot of people with these first-gen trucks. And in place of that is what's called a potentiometer. So it basically tricks the trans into thinking the TPS is there, and you can change what it's seeing from the TPS. So there's what it looks like, that little knob right there. So basically it just changes resistance whenever you turn the knob. So I found out about this, I drove around, I messed with it, I turned it a bunch, like real quick, and nothing happened, didn't work. Tried again, turned it a little slower, and was able to get it to the sweet spot, and it started shifting in overdrive again just fine. Same day, go on drive again, won't go in overdrive again. So I started twisting with it again, started messing with it, and cannot get it to go into overdrive. I get it to a point where it would try, and then wouldn't stay in. I'm like, man, there's gotta be something more serious than this. I'm not sure what this is gonna be. So I put a voltmeter on it to see what resistance it actually was, and with the key off, it was like 0 to 5 across the whole, I just bumped it, across the whole rotation here. Now, when I turned the key on, it was like 0 to 9 with like a 32nd of a turn, like just nudging it is like the whole range it had. So with the voltmeter, I was able to get it just to that sweet spot, and now it goes in overdrive every time, no problems whatsoever. It was just this silly little potentiometer that's probably bad. I have some spares in case it goes bad for the trip. Also, I got this center console. When I first was driving this truck back, I was like, man, did I make a bad decision? You know, I was gonna get like a newer Ford crew cab and have like more room and captain's chairs and comfy armrests and all that. Now I've got a single cab with a bench seat. Like, should I have really done this for long trips? So I was looking for a center console for a while. I got this little thing like AutoZone, but you can't really put your arm on it. Everything I found was just like that, but with a plastic top. I found this armrest on eBay. It's pricey. It's like $100, but this thing is amazing. Super nice quality, super thick, cushiony top. It's like the perfect height for a bench seat. I measured before I bought it. It's 7 inches tall. Perfect armrest. I like to drive like arm on the armrest, one hand on the steering wheel for long distances. Cup holders are nice. You can see it's like at an angle, so the cup holders are straight. It straps down so it doesn't really move. Really nice. I beg the people that make it to make sure it got sent out like that day. That way I get it in time for this trip. And they did. Super awesome people. They called me and everything. We're like, hey, like we can get it out today if we ship it this way. Give me some options. They're really cool. So link to this will be below if you have a bench seat and want a center console. This is a great option. Not a paid, oh, it's raining again. Oh, it's really raining. It's raining. It's really raining. Okay. Not a paid thing at all. They were really cool, and the product is really nice. I really like it. I do wish it was a little wider for my bench seat, just because I have it adjusted like closer to my side, and it's still like a little bit of a gap, but I mean, it looks better being this size, so. Got the AC rolling now. So there were a couple of other issues with the truck. Number one, there was a big loud squeal that started right after I got back from the trip, and it sounded just like it was coming from the AC compressor. I like chased it around the engine bay and it was coming from the AC compressor, and I was freaking out. I'm like, oh, this AC works great. I'm gonna have to change the AC compressor because the bearing's going bad, and if it goes bad on this trip and locks up and slings the belt, I'm straight on the side of the road. I would have no water pump, no alternator. So I'm freaking out about that. Fed's like, dude, it's a serpentine belt. I promise you, you're freaking out. It's not a big deal. Go to the store, grab a serpentine belt, put it on, takes 10 minutes, boom, issue solved. It was a serpentine belt, and I also have a spare now, which is great. So that issue resolved, I'm feeling pretty good. Next issue, brakes. The rear brakes were wanting to like lock up pretty easily. So I wasn't sure if the front brakes weren't working at all, or there's some air in the system or whatever. So we bled the fronts, which verified the fronts were working, and then it gave it a much better brake feel. It was pretty spongy, now it feels nice. It's kind of diminished a little bit. I might need to bleed them again, but they're good, and I know the fronts are working. So that's really all that I was worried about. With a trailer, the rear won't have such little weight on it, won't lock up as easily. It should be a non-issue. So I'm like, boom, that fixed, easy, cool. All right, what's the next thing? If you remember, the wipers quit working on our trip to Lakeland. So I was driving the wipers, which it has Rain-X now, but it's pretty miserable with no wipers. And there's an arm on the bushing, like on the rod that moves the wipers, that is notorious for going bad. Fed just happened to have an extra one and had done it on his Ram Charger just before I did it on this. And I remember him telling me it was a super pain. He said it was gonna be tough. Well, I figured out an easy way to do it. So I got that done in like 10 minutes. So I'm feeling super confident. I'm like, man, everything's going so like, what I thought was gonna be a day's work took an hour, which is normally the opposite. You normally think an hour's work is gonna be an hour's work and it takes a whole day. So I'm like on cloud nine, I'm stoked, like truck's good, truck's solid. All right, so now we have to go to the garage for the reenactment. It's still raining. So you may be thinking, Taylor, none of that's dumb. You didn't do anything stupid. I mean, you thought it was an AC compressor. That was kind of silly, but that's not it. So I'm parked in the garage doing all this work. I decided to back out. Start backing out, and tennis starts hitting. I'm like, ah, crap, you know, it freaks me out. I'm like, we're good. So I'm going to park in the spot that I'm parked in currently. So right there. So as I'm backing out, Fed's like right here, and he tells me, oh, I just stepped on some metal shavings. I realized I had left some metal shavings in here from when we were doing the handbrake, and I felt guilty. I'm like, ah, poor Fed, he always walks around barefoot. I didn't clean up my mess. He got some metal shavings in his foot. He's probably mad at me now. I'm like thinking about that, how I'm gonna clean them, this and that, lots going through my head. Our new roommate had parked right up by that pole, which there's a gate to my neighbor's yard that we can't block, so nobody ever parks there. So I was gonna swing out that way. Crap, can't swing out that way. So as I'm backing down, I'm like, okay, I'll go this way and just go right into my spot, take a wide sweep. Oh, can't go that way because his friend is parked like right where my back tire on the truck is. So like halfway down, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna cut out and then drive forward and parallel park that, like just a little bit further forward of that. I don't know if you know where this is heading, but I had parked the Corvette in the driveway. Forgot I parked it there because I meant to park it in the street, but I couldn't at the moment for some reason. Totally forgot it was there. Cut hard right, ran straight into the Corvette with the truck. As soon as I hit it, I was like, what was that? And I realized it, and I pull forward, I run out, and I look and I see this. And I'm like, oh, like that sucks, but that's not bad. Like, that's okay. Go to leave. And my new roommate points down at the fender and he's like, hey, like, look at this. So I look and the fender is completely over the door. It's like cracked, like there's a lip inside here. It's like cracked. It looks like I just toasted the fender and the door. And because I toasted those, I have to have pushed all this support back far enough to toast those. And at this point I'm like, like rage mode. I'm like, I am such an idiot. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I forgot my car was there. I should have looked. I ran right into it. The mirror was folded in so I couldn't see. Oh, I was so mad at myself. And I got to a point where I'm like, how am I gonna fix this? I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'm so mad, I'm just gonna open the door and it's gonna like break it back into place. I don't care anymore. And then I thought to myself, and I thought, you know, if I do that, I'm gonna be really mad at myself later on, because I'm gonna realize if I hadn't done that and had just been calm and fixed this the right way, the damage would be way less minimal. But if I do this, I'm probably gonna need a door and a fender. So I need to calm down. So I relaxed for a second. There's only one keyhole, so I had to, if I do that twice, it actually opened the hatch, crawl through the hatch, open the hood, and then loosened all these bolts on the top, was able to pull the fender forward and get it to pop back behind the door. And there's like a little crack in here that you can't really see. And the only real damage is this scuff from the bumper. If this was a metal fender, it definitely would have just caved it in. So I will say the fiberglass held up better than I expected. But yeah, between that, the handbrake not working, and spending all that time on the handbrake to get it to work, and just this week has been a bit of a show. And I'm sorry you guys haven't seen a video. That's why I've been like trying to make videos and it just plummets downhill. The handbrake video is like on the 3rd day now, and obviously it's still not done. I'm about to pull it out. So now that you're all caught up, sorry for the long-winded explanation. I just figured I'd catch you guys back up on what's going on. It's now time to get the car ready for grid life. You guys have seen me raise and stuff a car plenty of times. You've seen me take the seats in and out of this thing plenty of times. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do all that. I also need to head to Marco's to mount tires, which you've seen me do a million times. Load the trailer, which you've seen me do a million times. But that is like my biggest point of concern. So I'll catch back up with you guys when I'm loading this thing on the trailer. How's that sound? Thanks for watching this far. Alright, so the car is loaded on the trailer. I didn't film it because it was raining, and it was very sketchy. The side skirts just like flexed all the way until the car is sitting on like the frame rails, and it drug all, and the wood was wet because it was raining, so it's just a mess. But we got the car on. I'll probably have to raise it up some before I go to take it off when we get to Atlanta, but it's all good now. Marco came and helped me. Huge shout out to Marco, because I could not have done that without him. I thought I was going to do it by myself. That would have been terrible. Also, our neighbor has a lot of cats, and this one cat was getting like, I thought it was 2 raccoons fighting, and then I realized like they just came out of the side of my house, and it was a cat and a raccoon, and I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Because I'm like, the raccoons are scary. I'm not going to lie. Raccoons are scary. I had some run-ins with them around here, and they're scary. But I had to save the cat, so me and Marco chased after it and saved the cat's life. But it was very traumatic. So anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I know it's kind of a weird video, but I wanted to catch you guys up on everything that was going on, just to kind of explain where we're at now. But none of that matters. None of the bad stuff that happened. The car is fine. The truck's good. We're loaded up and we're going to grid life. We're going to have a freaking blast. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be an awesome weekend. I hope you guys are looking forward to it as much as I am, because it should be a blast. If you watched any of my other Grid Life Atlanta videos, you know how rowdy it gets. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.